So today I thought I would do a complete full tour of my lean-to passive solar greenhouse. I've never done a full tour showing every single aspect of it, so let's do that today. So my greenhouse is situated along my west wall of my house, and it is a lean-to greenhouse, and it's basically as big as it can be considering the space that I had. It replaced an existing greenhouse that the last owner built, which wasn't in very good shape, and so I rebuilt it using cedar framing and such, and reused all the windows. And one of the things that I did is I did not glaze the whole greenhouse. I did actually put in these knee walls, which are insulated and just help to keep it warmer, and also reduces some of the heat gain in summertime. As you can see, I'm also using the outside of the greenhouse as a place to hang some planters with strawberries and my collection of herbs in containers as well. The one problem that I have right now is my roof needs another renovation. I used cedar boards that were a little bit too thin, and a lot of them are actually curling up and they're not doing that well. I do have 3 vent windows, which you'll see from the inside are set up with automatic vent openers, and I also have a small 40-watt solar panel, and I'll show you inside what I actually use it for. Like I said, we have this solar panel, just a small 40-watt solar panel, which is wired into the greenhouse. So without further ado, let's go into the greenhouse. We've got this door that opens up, and one advantage of this door too is that it is actually framed to be a half door. So over on the inside we have a latch that I can open, and then this top half of the door stays open if you want it to. This is very handy in summertime for extra ventilation during the daytime. And the other thing is that with the half door, you don't have critters necessarily walking in there unless they can climb. And when we go on vacation, we have some old window screen that I can't find the places. Here they are. There's some nails here that we connect the window frame to, and it basically just snaps in there, and then that way we can make sure that there's no critters going into the greenhouse while we're away. We have a lot of raccoons that obviously could climb in if they wish to, and steal our vegetables and fruit that we have growing inside. So to the left of the doorway when you enter the greenhouse, I've got this kind of old shelving unit that houses our trugs, T-R-U-G-S, and a pail that we use for some undesirable weeds and things that we throw into our municipal green bin, and some row cover. I sometimes store other things underneath. And then on top I have an old window screen, which I actually use in summertime to dry things like herbs, rose petals, and anything else that we want to dry. I have a few places where I've put up these old closet rods, wooden closet rods, and what I have is some of my overwintering flowers, and there's a beautiful geranium there, and I just hang those there just so that they're up and out of the way. And then over here on the door frame, I have a min-max thermometer that keeps track of the lowest temperatures and the highest temperatures. It's not working that well because it was never that cold in the greenhouse as it shows there with that blue arrow. So it's not working that great. I have another way that I can keep track of min and max temperatures as well, which is over here. I have a sensor that feeds data to a small unit in my kitchen, and it keeps track of the greenhouse temperature and also the min and max temperatures so I can keep track of what the temperature is at any time and ensure that I ventilate the greenhouse in the summertime when it gets too hot, but I also can check to see if the greenhouse is getting too cold in winter when we do have a rare cold spell, and then I can maybe put in some supplemental heat. This little corner here, I'm not sure how far back I can back up here. This little alcove used to house our sink with running water, but we had some problems with the piping, and so the sink actually got moved, which you'll see in a moment. Right now we're using the top for some of my daughter's gardening tools, our seating square, rack for holding things like shovels and stuff, and then also a place for gloves, a chair for when I want to sit down in the greenhouse, and that screen that we use in summertime to block off the door, the top half of the door. And in the cabinet here we've got a bunch of things, mainly just some extra fertilizers and some canisters of propane for my weed torch, and just that kind of stuff, some bags and so forth, just keep them out of the way. As we pan around, there is the door to my garden shed, which is under my deck. And then the other thing is I've got this dryer vent, which is going outside, but it's coming from my laundry room, which is over on this wall. The bench to the right of the door to the shed has my overwintering geraniums and a fuchsia, and so that's where I store those. Another planter of geraniums that's also overwintering, and again we've got a beautiful geranium flower. I've got a pot full of oriental lilies, which we'll put outside once the weather warms up, and just some empty baskets which we'll reuse this summer. And then one thing that's in the greenhouse that I actually need to move out of it at some point is this banana tree, and you'll see in a sec why I say we need to move it, because it is not having enough room here. It's like literally touching the ceiling, and so we have a spot outside we can put it. We are going to have to protect it in winter time, but that's going to be something we do in the summer to move it. Now you might have been wondering, what is that noise in the background? Hopefully it hasn't been too deafening, but we have here some old PC power supply fans which I got from my work, and those are connected up to that solar panel you saw outside. And the beauty of this is that there's no batteries or anything like that. The fans come on automatically. When the sun comes out, they slow down and sometimes turn off completely when it's very cloudy, and at nighttime they also turn off. So it's basically an automated system where I don't need to do anything. I don't need to remember to turn on the fans or turn them off. They just do that automatically. And it's also free power because we're not paying for any electricity. So we've got our garden hose here, and there's a couple of pipes here that are coming actually from my laundry room. And the reason why we have those pipes is that I have a full sink here, utility sink or laundry sink. This sink has cold and hot running water, which is really cool. It's definitely nicer to be able to wash stuff in hot or warm water when it's cold outside. And I've just repurposed an old shower caddy to keep some stuff like my muck gloves and some brushes and sponges and some cleaners and such, and a towel. And underneath here I actually built a little door, and I've got a bucket and some odds and ends of hose attachments and things. I do have a step stool just in case I need to reach something that's a little further higher up, since I'm short. But essentially for this greenhouse, one of the main things, or main purpose it has, is to grow some citrus. And originally it wasn't the plan, and I used to always grow things like tomatoes in this bed. It's about I think a 2 foot by 6 foot raised bed. It's fairly deep, and I've got some other plants in here as well that are just here temporarily, some lettuce and such, but my main focal points here is a mandarin tree. And this mandarin tree does have some flowers starting, which is pretty neat. This tree is only a year old. I only got it maybe about a year ago. And then I also have next to it a Meyer lemon tree. And this one is almost blooming. You can see the buds are getting very full. And we don't yet have a flower opening, but hope to soon. And while we did have one lemon last year on the tree, it unfortunately got eaten by something. And so this will hopefully be the first year that we actually get fresh lemons off our own tree. Okay, and then as we pan around here, I've got some overwintering pepper plants. I had more, but some of them unfortunately died. And you can see that this one here is getting new leaves, and I'm hoping that these two here also survive and actually continue growing again this year. Peppers can be kept as perennials essentially, providing they don't get too cold, and I think the other 4 that I had here might have just gotten a little bit too cold. The other 3 are maybe better because they're closer to the house. And then I've got a couple of celery plants. These are starting to grow again, and I even have some green onions in here. And these 2 planters I'll probably put outside once the weather warms up a bit more. And then one of the main reasons I have a greenhouse is so that I can raise my own seedlings and save a lot of money on buying seedlings. And so in the back there I've got quite a few different tomato plants. And in my dome here I've got more tomato plants and some pepper plants, and I've also got an eggplant, a few eggplants, and starting some basil, and I do have a ginger in there, but it hasn't sprouted yet. Just some lettuce seedlings that I need to plant out, some flowers as well, and a couple of cabbages I need to plant. We did buy some marigolds at the grocery store to plant out right now already. Then the other thing that I have on this table is just some miscellaneous tools, labels and string, water moisture meter, and some pruners. And underneath here I also store a bunch of stuff. So again, some fertilizers and some soils, and again more fertilizers and different amendments. And I've got a sieve for sieving out compost so I can use it for my seeding. And I've got a couple of bags of compost that came from organic green waste composting that my mother gave me. And I've done a video on this, but I do have a water barrel in the greenhouse. Now it does take up space, but the good thing with it is that it does warm up when the greenhouse warms up, and it's plumbed basically to the outside to collect all the water, rainwater, off the roof. And I use the top of it just to store again some fertilizers and small watering can and a sprayer to spray seedlings and such. And the water barrel is handy because I can just go ahead and fill up my watering cans inside the greenhouse and be able to then water my plants immediately. Right now I do have an overflow hose that kind of is in a strange location. I need to do something that's a little bit better, but at least the overflow in wintertime, and I'm not using water, is flowing into a drain that I have here. So I'll just do a couple of shots here of so you can get a better idea of the whole greenhouse. There's the door that we came in, and the garden shed in the back under the deck. And the fans are still running like crazy because we happen to pick a sunny time to do this video. If I stand in the shed under the deck, you can see the other half of the greenhouse there with everything that we showed. So looking up at the ceiling, I've got 3 vent windows as I showed you on the outside, and all 3 of them have these automatic vent windows openers, which automatically open the windows when the greenhouse temperature rises to a certain threshold. Right now they're closed because it's still cool. So I hope you enjoyed the tour of the greenhouse, and be sure to check out the playlist that I'll link to in the description for more videos about greenhouse growing. Thanks for watching.